Hey yo, what is going on guys, Cash and Clean here, and for today's video I just wanted to go over the Shadowhunter rework and everything else that came out on the PTS, which is out today. I will leave a link to that in the description down below if you guys want to go check that out. And before I get into today's video, I just wanted to say that I farmed in U10 and this was the laggiest U10 I've ever been in. Not in like a long time or anything, but it was just a super laggy U10. So if you're expecting perfect gameplay, just don't. And I wasn't using a full movement speed build, so if you do have a full movement speed Shadowhunter build, keep it, because I will show you why in a second, why it's super good. Before we get into all of that as well, I will go to the abilities here. So for the passive, we have nearby enemies periodically receive a shadow mark. So that's pretty typical, you guys have seen that before. So that's just the passive for Shadowhunter. The basic attacks have increased damage, so from 250% to 400%. It was a little bit difficult to check in the gameplay, like how much the damage was, but it looks like I was doing a decent amount of damage whenever it wasn't lagging. But yeah, as far as the lag goes, it was pretty hard to test out the damage itself. And I do not have a full light build for my Shadowhunter. Like I had 8k light, so if you guys have full light, then you'll do way more damage than I did. As far as the other abilities go, so we have the Clash Gem ability. That's going to be the same thing. You fire a rapid stream of arrows this time, and your increased damage is up from 100% to 200%, and you have the ability to shoot enemies through wall. I didn't want to test it through, you know, my laggy experience, but you guys can kind of just take my word for that. And the other thing, like my M2 ability there, so pretty much whenever you use it and you like activate it, it'll go to the nearby enemies and it'll do a lot of damage, you know, exploding damage, 250% damage. So that is pretty good, and it can store up to 5 seekers at a time. So it's going to be something that you have to charge up, and when you use it, it'll just go to the nearby enemies. Then we got the Sun Snare. So before this was just a regular stun ability. It still does that stun, but now it does an extra 400% damage, so that's kind of interesting. I tested it out in the gameplay here, so whenever your primary fire doesn't work, you can actually use this ability here, and it will kind of just counter the lag, if that makes sense. So if you use it, it'll explode and it will just kill the enemy for you instead of you trying to fight it with your primary attack. But it doesn't always work out. Lag kind of wins sometimes, but it is what it is. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, you can probably already see it in the video, but if you use your roll ability, you'll actually gain a large movement speed boost. So I think I was around 115 or 118. I can't remember my exact movement speed, but you'll see it throughout the video. I'll kind of like constantly check out my stats to see like what my movement speed is, and I don't really have the mod to see like how fast I'm going. But yeah, I was going anywhere from like 118-ish all the way up to 185, and that was just with the roll ability. So if you can add in like everything else, like your ally, your subclass, like you will go super quick. So Shadowhunter is going to be a super good speed farmer now, I would say. Like he goes pretty quick, and I used trailblazing in this video, but I never actually used it. Like I just had it on, so that would get you, I think, what is it, 10 extra movement speed, I'm pretty sure, with extra jump. So yeah, you'll get a lot more movement speed out of Shadowhunter here. So overall, I would say that Shadowhunter is a really good farming class now. Not a whole lot changed to his damage. Like he did get a damage buff, but he's still pretty much going to be about the same. So just imagine Shadowhunter with extra movement speed. So I would just use your roll ability a lot, because you'll gain a large movement speed boost. It's actually quite fun. Like if you're just walking around, you want to get somewhere quicker, you don't really have enemies to fight, you can just roll and you'll get to that place quicker. And you guys can check out everything else if you guys want to. I'm just going to go over the class updates now. So it looks like Boomeranger got a pretty big buff. It looks like a lot of increase in its damage. Gunslinger got a slight nerf. Fate Trickster got a slight buff. I'm not going to talk too much about these classes because I haven't really actually played them, but I'm just going off of what it says here. And these aren't like drastic changes. It looks like Boomeranger did get like quite a bit of a buff in its damage, but everyone else seems to have gotten either like a slight buff or a nerf. They increased Ice Age's Ice Crash and the Big Chill. So if you're farming with Ice Age in delves, it's going to be a little bit more efficient, because if you actually just drop your icicles and just run through the delve, I don't know, you'll just end up doing more damage. So that means if you kill the enemies, you'll gain a movement speed buff if you have obviously movement speed build, and you guys get the point from that. Chloromancer got a slight nerf. It's still going to be a really high damaging character, so don't take this as like it's not going to be meta anymore. Chloromancer is still going to be a super good single target DPS class. Candy Barb got a slight buff, and Neon Ninja here actually got a pretty decent buff. So overall, Neon Ninja is going to do more damage. So if you're farming U10 with Neon Ninja, or just anywhere in general, he's going to do more damage with, it looks like all of his things got buffed, like including his basic attack, his shurikens, like everything got a buff for him. So I'll test out these classes later and see how they fit into the meta. I feel like whatever classes are meta right now is going to stay meta. Like I have a max speed build for Neon Ninja, and even if I try to swing around in U10, it won't one-shot the enemies all the time. So I'm kind of curious if I can actually one-shot the enemies now if I just use Neon Ninja and U10, but I guess we'll see. I'll do some more testing later. And then moving on to the Knight, it looks like Knight got a movement speed buff based off of you attacking the enemies, and just an overall slight buff to the character as well. Vanguardian also got a buff, Dinotamer also got a buff. It looks like everyone else on this patch notes here got a buff. Apart from Tomb Raiser seems to have gotten a nerf, so if you're farming low depth elves, that was pretty nice with Tomb Raiser, but it looks like the minions for Tomb Raiser have gotten a damage decrease. But it's not like a large amount. I still feel like I'll use Tomb Raiser and low depth elves, but I'll test this out later and see how it goes. And last but not least, we have additional updates. The only thing I'm going to mention here is that they fixed like voids, if that makes sense. So if you had an existing void in your world, I guess they fixed it. I haven't really looked into my club world to see, because I had something for rampages for voids, but I'll see if that got fixed. Kind of curious about that actually. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed. I will be back later with like more news, more changes, everything else. I also do have a class build video for every single class in the game. I was just waiting on the Shadowhunter rework to actually get this started. But now that it's actually here, I can actually get started on that video and have it up for you guys to see, like a 2022 build for every single class. And apart from that, drop a like, subscribe if you're brand new to the channel, and I will see you all later.